Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the Dirty Side the Grid podcast, where we turned up late to qualifying, but a gust of wind blew everyone off the circuit, so we inherited P1. I'm Mohammed, and I'm joined by Youssef here, and we are midway through it right now. We are in exam season, and guess who's still recording? We're still here, year 2 and year 4 of an engineering degree, and we're still standing, so I think purely for that dedication, we deserve something. So give us a review or something. Like the video and that. Youssef, how are you feeling?
It's good. I'm good. I'm almost done with my exams, almost done with my degree, so I'm enjoying life right now.
I think the life is
What
like
about you?
slowly draining out of both of our souls right now. But
The life drained out of my soul in like the end of my second year, so it's a long time ago.
well, luckily the Spanish Grand Prix was actually worth losing revision over. So it was a decent watch, bit of entertainment there. But I guess before we get into that, do you have an unrelated thing of the weekend for us?
I have two things. So the first one basically doesn't really apply for this week, but it's a Mercedes image from like the car from 2019, 2020, 2021, and then in 2022 is just a truck basically because of how slow it is. I thought you'd like that. But anyways, the second thing of the weekend, which I totally forgot about, but it's Martin Brundle going around the grid and he's speaking to Bernie and he's like, "Who do you think's gonna win the championship?" He's like, "Whoever has the most points at the end of the season." And Martin just looks at him like,
Bro,
"Bro, like, what are you saying, man?" Like, he's like,
we
"Oh,
love
I don't know who's gonna actually win it, who's gonna have most points at the end of the season." Why did he say like?
we
So I
love
don't find
clever
that with him.
answers, man. We're all clever people. Being engineers,
No,
we
he
deal with
didn't
problems
actually.
all the
You did not understand what Martin Brundle was actually asking. That is the
time.
truth. That is the
You know
truth.
what? Probably, and he probably couldn't hear him. He probably couldn't hear him. Poor guy. Anyway,
Anyways,
um, I guess I've got some news just to catch up quickly on everything that happened from. It's been what, 2 weeks since Miami. It's gone so fast. But what we've had quickly is a little roundup. I can't be bothered to back out the glasses and sheet of paper and that. But if you imagine BBC and everything, um, in one of the most funny and tragic events of the past month, Charles Leclerc took Niki Lauda's classic Ferrari around his home track of Monaco and crashed it at Rascasse, which was an incredible watch. Obviously, it wasn't his fault, but it was still hilarious. Um, Mercedes have been clowned for their constant use of we're collecting data and their data collection stuff. They're constantly saying that was great data collection. We learned a lot from that race. So there were there are some funny tweets about them, and I think they actually liked and replied to quite a few of them. Um, like an Instagram model who's just earned, a couple thousand. All the cars came with upgrades to their appearance, looking completely different. Some cars they might have got the lip filler upgrade. We don't know. Apart from the Haas, which looks exactly the same. Uh,
they got zero upgrades actually.
yeah, they didn't change anything at all. I think they were actually they're planning to bring it later on so that they can catch up with other teams at the end. Aston Martin were clowned for copying Red Bull, seeing as their upgrades looked very similar, to the point where actually during one of the practice sessions, Red Bull had green cans of Red Bull on their pit wall for all of their engineers. I think that was a nice touch. I don't think anything's coming of that though, so they shouldn't get a penalty or anything. Uh, F1 is planning on removing the FIA. There was a quote about how they might try and remove the FIA from the actual structure. So the way it works is like the FIA owns F1, and then F1, I think they rent out the broadcasting rights or something. But what they want to do is completely separate from the FIA because I guess they don't need them. And like a tumor that you can't get rid of, Michael Massey might actually return. So the
He
guy
might be one of the stewards next year.
bro, like the guy who's been punished for not doing his job properly might be coming back to do the job again because why? I
Welcome to F1.
you love to see it. And then the last thing is the Drake curse continues because as of I think it was like this morning or last night or something, Drake put 300,000 Canadian dollars on Charles Leclerc winning the Spanish Grand Prix. Normally a boring race, statistically one from pole all the time, and his engine blew up. So once again, Drake ruins someone's day, but to be fair, it made the race interesting. So I guess maybe he'll place more bets on F1 soon. You don't know.
Don't think so.
I mean,
I
to be
don't
fair,
think so.
losing 300k for him would, that's like he could do that in one night if he really wanted to. He probably made that back from that
True.
Instagram post. Actually, yeah, it was a sponsor from a betting company, so I think he probably made that amount of money from the like sponsored post.
Probably made more actually. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. People, man, it's minor.
It is.
300k. That's your starting salary, isn't it? It's also the amount of
Divide that by 100, then you got my starting salary. Anyways.
Love to see it. All right. So, okay, well, for the 60-second summary this time, we've got, seeing as we've both kind of cheated it, you're now looking at the clock. I'm now not telling you when it ends. To make it harder, do you want to do it in 30
So you're
seconds?
admitting that you're cheating by not telling me, yeah?
I'm admitting that it may have got a little bit too easy for you, so I thought I'd change the rules midway through. Never happened in F1 before.
Yeah, but you admitted you're cheating, so
This is, as we all know in F1,
victory for
rules have
me.
never been changed midway through the event just to change the outcome. So what we're gonna do
Never,
is
never.
do you
No,
want
I'm
30
doing it
seconds?
1 minute. No,
Do you want
no,
30 seconds and I tell you when the
no,
30 seconds is, or do you want a minute
no.
but you're not allowed to look at the clock?
No, I still will look at the clock, so.
Nah, you're not. Nah, you can't look. You're not allowed.
No, I'm allowed to look at the clock.
Well,
Yes.
60 seconds it is.
60 seconds is okay.
No looking.
Okay, now give it like 30 more seconds. I need to mentally prepare myself for when it turns 51, yeah.
This is being filmed right after the race, so if this comes out like next Friday, don't ask questions. But this is being filmed like an hour after the race has ended, so
not
this
even
is
an hour,
fresh
it's
in
less
your
than an hour
mind.
after.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay,
3,
okay.
2, 1, go.
Mercedes, their upgrades, very interesting, very quick. Start of the race. Qualifying was basically standard. Mercedes were like the surprise. Lando Norris got his lap deleted. I didn't think it should have got deleted, to be honest. The race, the start was fine. Lewis banging into everyone, proving that he can't drive, dropping to P19. He was depressed and wanted to like retire. The race continued. Magnussen had a horrible start. Verstappen's DRS wasn't working. George Russell, what a beast. He was doing very well to defend against the Red Bulls. Leclerc's engine blew up, and then it all went kind of. Sainz was terrible today. Lewis finished P4. Mercedes on a podium with George. 1-2 for Red Bull. Sainz was nowhere to be seen. Bottas amazing. That's about it. Yeah. Oh, everyone was slipping in the same thing because of tailwind. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just about fit it in the 60 seconds. Some could almost say that you were aware of what time it was. But
No, I
that
actually
was
didn't look
pretty.
at all. I did not look at all.
You
No,
know
I
what?
actually didn't look, so I didn't know.
That was like right on
Scout's honor,
those.
says the guy who's never been a scout. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think I know anyone in the Scouts, to be honest.
Anyways, moving on.
How long before Haas starts selling Girl Scout cookies to make up the money to get them over the budget cap? So,
No.
where do we go from this? I guess we just straight into best performance of the race. Do you want to? You got a
I'd
highlight?
say George. I'd say George has to go. Like I know like Verstappen probably winning without DRS for most of the race has to get a shout for best performance.
Right, nah. Does he? Does he though?
Yeah, I think he has to get like a shot. I don't think he was the best performer, but I think he has to get. I think the best performer by far was George.
Interesting.
Under that pressure from two Red Bull, he held Max Verstappen behind him for so long. He held Sergio Perez for so long. Max couldn't get past him until he got like, was it fresh tires? And then
Yeah, he had to stop, and then
so I think, and he's in a slower car and everything. So I think great job. And George didn't have DRS or anything as well. So I'd say George is probably the best. But like I know probably best driver Max would have won it because he won. But I'd say George is, yeah, I'd say he's best driver. Worst driver is a lot easier to kind of get around to.
yeah, I mean, okay, so in terms of best driver, personally, George is definitely top two, but I'd give it to Lewis. Like,
No,
biases aside, like
no,
the
no.
turn one incident,
You're
it
so
wasn't his fault.
biased, man.
It wasn't his
You're so
fault.
biased. Man.
It
It was
definitely
his
wasn't
fault,
his
man.
fault.
He
And then
banged into
he
Magnussen,
came
man.
back. So nah, hold on. Okay, no, jokes aside, completely, who's at fault for that?
Lewis. He banged into Magnussen, bro. Magnussen's going around and then Lewis is going into him, man. I think I will say
What?
one thing actually. I'm biased. I'm gonna be unbiased. Lewis has driven so long up front that him driving in the midfield for him, he doesn't know what he's actually like. He is not as aware as like other drivers who've driven in the midfield for a long time. Do you
You
get
can
what I mean, or do you not get
argument if you want to, but he just went
it?
from last to fourth. I think he had to give fourth back, so we actually finished fifth, I think,
Yeah. We
because
finished fifth.
of the issue.
See, bias, bro. You're
I
so
said we,
biased, man.
bro. I said he. I
No, you
said
said
he.
we, bro. You said
I
we,
did not
bro.
say we. I
You're
did
so
not say we. I
biased, man.
didn't do that. I didn't do that. I'll say we for Mercedes, but I won't say we for Lewis. That makes no sense. Bro,
Uh, no,
so he.
I think George has a better chance. Like Lewis is always gonna come back to like realistically
Nah,
with
he
a
wasn't
race
always,
like
bro.
this long.
Magnussen only
Like the
finished.
race,
Magnussen finished second to last.
I just did you realize one thing? The race is very long. Like as in the race should not be this long.
It did feel really long. Yeah, it felt
Like as in if the race was 50 laps, I think that's enough. 66 is too like a circuit is really like it's not a short circuit, you know?
yeah,
And like it takes a long time for them to go around one lap and realistically only really gonna overtake at the end of like the straight. So like
yeah.
into turn one. So like the rest of the lap is boring, except that one overtake by Max on like was it Bottas? That was
Oh
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah. But Bottas still
That was
has the
very
racecraft of a wooden plank, so like it's obviously it's still a good move, but like if you're gonna pull that move on anyone, you're gonna pull it on Bottas because of
you're
course you
just jealous because he's in F1 you aren't.
are. Probably. Um, no, but still, I'd still give it to Lewis to be honest. There's no way like he's gone from last back to P4 recovery drive in that car. Obviously, I'm not. George did great defending and stuff, but I'm kind of annoyed we didn't see more of those overtakes. I'm assuming they were just DRS on the straight, though, I guess, if we didn't see them. But
Exactly, he's quicker than like
came
he has
back.
a car that's quicker than all of them, bro. So with a track with the amount of like we didn't really see it today because of like what's his name? Verstappen didn't have like DRS. It wasn't working. But the DRS at the end of that straight is so strong. Like actually you just flip it and you're gone.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and with how easy it is for cars to follow nowadays, it's actually very easy to overtake at the end of that straight. It's just I think like we didn't see a DRS train, which is
true. Yeah, that was surprising, but we'll take that. It's an
yeah.
improvement.
But I'd say
I mean, are
George.
there
George.
any other shouts then other than George?
No,
I'd say
I think
personally, I wouldn't say Verstappen's in the conversation. The only reason he
you're
won
just
is
jealous.
because Charles retired and team orders. I'm sure he would have won it anyway, but it wasn't exactly made difficult for him because Perez was told to get out of his way. So
Can I just say
he
one
didn't
thing?
actually do
You
anything.
have him in your fantasy, yeah? So you admit he's
I do.
actually better than Lewis, yeah? You admit he's
No,
better than
no,
Lewis
no.
because you have him in your fantasy. You admit he's better than Lewis, or you wouldn't
That's
have him
not
in his fantasy.
that's not using it. We'll see. We'll see how many points he actually got me. So we'll have to find out. Listen, it's the smarts, the brains. I finessed them both. Oh wait, I just realized
No,
retiring's actually finessed me so hard.
Boy, this race was so bad. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. I think George Lewis probably has a shout in there, but I think everyone else was
I'd say,
average, if bad.
yeah, I think, the people who have done well, like Bottas and Ocon finishing fairly highly, are just it's expected of them, especially after some retirements up top. I'd say the wind at turn 4, like that's a great performance, to be
Yeah.
honest. Spinning out Sainz and Verstappen's quite entertaining.
I
I
actually I have one point I wanted to speak about. Do you think, we were talking about the conversation is we're talking about Sainz being a second driver, the second driver of Ferrari and everything. Do you think the longer this goes on and the longer his performances are going this way and he's becoming, let's say, less reliable for the team or stuff like that, do you think that he is becoming more and more of a Bottas, basically?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm assuming, seeing as you've said that, I'm assuming he's your worst performance driver, right?
No, he finished P5, which I think is okay. I think they're worst, right?
Okay.
I think people in for no, I think he's in for like, but like he finished P4. That's the thing, isn't it? I'd say worst drive. Magnussen maybe is in there. I'd say he's in there. I'd say
So
Daniel
Lewis gets this one.
Ricciardo's in there. I say Daniel Ricciardo's in there. Yeah, Lewis hit him, so
So he's not worst performance then.
no, he didn't really come back after that. He just died. Maybe he had damage on his car. Lewis was, very
Yeah, we didn't
brutal
hear about that.
the way he went into him.
I won't even, I'm not gonna comment too much yet. But okay, so back to science. I'd put science in that. So I agree with Magnussen and Ricardo being in the worst performance conversation. Science, I'd put him in there as well, definitely. And the Bottas thing, I I'd hate to say it, and I really wanted to be like an advocate for science and all of this stuff. Verstappen spinning there as well saved him, because otherwise it would have just been him, and then it wasn't gonna look too great. But like that car would have won that race, and he's down
Yeah,
in fourth. That car would have
yeah.
won that race. And then if you imagine if Lewis didn't have that issue, he's finishing behind both Red Bulls and both Mercedes in a car that should have won the race at his home
Mm.
track in front of his home fans. Like his mum's probably in the crowd. His dad gave the pole position award to his teammate. Like he could have got pole, been given the trophy by his dad, then he would have gone on to win from pole at his home race in front of his home crowd, his family, his friends, his cousins, like everyone in a Ferrari. That should have been his weekend. He should have been battling with Leclerc. Even if he came second to Leclerc, he should be finishing P2. And he's in.
I think we're seeing kind of what we saw with Bottas last year in terms of, where he was so slow and he wasn't able to extract what Hamilton was able to extract out of the car. We're seeing it now where Leclerc was like 10 seconds. Okay, he was 10 seconds ahead mainly because what's his name was slowing Verstappen down. Russell was
Russell.
slowing down
Yeah.
Verstappen so much. But where was Sainz? Sorry, he was so far behind, it didn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Definitely.
think the longer this goes on, the more I'm kind of inclined to say. I remember I heard someone the other day say that um uh I think Sainz is better than Russell. No, that's not even that is like we could I don't think it's a point of debate, but fair enough, that's your opinion. But I heard someone say, Sainz is better than Leclerc. In what world?
That's, yeah. No, I don't know where these opinions are coming from, but like, you can't say that.
In what world? No,
There's
because they just
places.
look at points from last year that he finished ahead of Leclerc last year. But Leclerc is just destroying him this like literally destroying. Where is he?
Completely.
He's he's not even in Spain, man. Like I was gonna say he's back home in Spain, but we're in Spain and he didn't arrive yet.
the, the
Where
guy
is
stayed at
he?
home, man. He didn't show up. He was in his apartment.
Bro, honestly.
Bro, he was like eating his mum's cooking or something. He just decided he wasn't going to show up today. Like, no,
Yeah,
that's embarrassing, bro. It's actually really bad. And when you say like a Bottas, Red Bull have now taken the lead of the constructors. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Uh,
they took it.
Verstappen's definitely taken the lead of the drivers.
Yeah, by 6 points.
So, so Ferrari have now bottled the lead of both championships in like 6 races. Like normally it takes them half a season. They've done it in like 6 races. And it's partly down to Carlos Sainz not being there to pick up the points. Like same way Lewis could have used Bottas taking points away from Max last year, finishing, second or third a couple times or whatever. Sainz is now nowhere to be seen. So Perez will pick up the P3 or P2 in this case. And bro, like they're really racing with one driver.
Yeah. See, we were talking also about their strategy and stuff for Ferrari, and we were talking last week about will Ferrari be able to kind of cope with the pressure and actually go on and win, or will Ferrari bottle it? I think the way he's performing now puts an argument for putting someone else in the seat next year.
Oh.
Not now. I wouldn't say it for now, but if this continues for the whole season, there is an argument to end this contract and put someone new in the seat. But like they wanted to push Mick Schumacher in. Where is Mick Schumacher? And let's be honest. I don't think he got points today, and he hasn't gotten points at all in Formula One so far. I don't think he deserves to be in like a Ferrari at all. Like the only reason if he goes to Ferrari, the only reason he's going is because he's Schumacher, basically.
Yeah.
But he does not deserve a drive.
Who would you put? Like, I don't want to be talking about Sainz replacements already, but who would you put in that seat?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know actually. Who would you put in that seat?
Bro, imagine Bottas goes in that seat.
No, I don't think Bottas will.
Alonso.
They get Lewis Hamilton.
Yo,
Alonso. I don't think Alonso. No, I don't think he'll
Alonso
go.
would take it, bro. Alonso would take it.
No. I don't think they bring Alonso. Because
Oh,
Alonso and Pierre, I don't think they. Sorry, and not Pierre and Charles. I don't think they gel.
yeah.
I think Gasly could be a show. He's not performing as well this year.
Yeah.
But as in, I think based on this year's performance, I wouldn't put him in the criteriums. But as in, I think he has a shout for it. But I don't think there's no one who I look at and I'm like, the only person who I look at, I'm like, he could perform well is Lando, but I don't see McLaren letting him go.
Yeah. Lando's the one that stands out, but he's at McLaren. So I guess if McLaren gets worse, maybe he'll get out of that contract.
Yeah, he could be at. Yeah, I feel like if McLaren keep this kind of trajectory, and Carlos is gone, I think he has a shot for that seat. He's probably I put him as my number one to take that seat.
You'd put him as your number 1
for like so if Carlos goes by the end of this year and McLaren are still performing terribly, the best person I think they can put in that seat is him. Because realistically, they're not going to put like one of the young ones in. I'd say him, or I'd say they could do it with Fernando, because I think like the past 2 years he's shown that, or the past year he's shown that he's a bit more kind of capable of gelling with a teammate. Than like he played the team game last year while he held up Lewis. He hasn't had issues with Ocon. Will that work? But like if he goes to Ferrari now, he's going clearly as a number 2. Not like Alpine, he's a number 1 still. But whereas kind of like he's helped his teammate because he's been in that position. But realistically, will he accept to go to Ferrari and be a number 2 or? Yeah, I don't see that, to be honest. That's why with Lando, I don't think he'll be under the assumption that he's a number 2 because they've got 2 good young drivers. So I think they'll kind of let him battle it out. But yeah, anyways, we kind of went very far off topic.
One final thing on Alonso actually as well. If you're Ferrari, you want Alonso to be like a number 2 placeholder before you get another better, younger driver to get into that seat. The problem with Alonso is I feel like he wants to race until he's 75. So like the issue is they're gonna say, all right, Alonso, now like Mick Schumacher, Michael Schumacher's like great grandson as well. They're both like ready to get into the seat. Can you like all right, we're gonna buy you out of your contract now. Like you're good now. We've been paying you like 20 million a year for the past like 40 years. Do you want to just retire now quickly? And he's like, no. I need that third world championship. I'm gonna win it. I will win it eventually. So it's a big risk.
The issue with Ferrari is they don't have any good young talents in Formula One. They have a lot of good young talents in F2. So like Callum, they have Robert Schwartzman. They have a lot of young drivers. So I'd say With next year, I think even if Carlos performs badly, I think they might stick with him just because they don't have anyone else to occupy the seat. What I think will happen is Guan Yu Zhou will basically leave Alfa Romeo, and then I think they'll either Ferrari will push for someone to come in from their driver academy, or they'll do it with Haas, where they'll push one of the younger drivers that they want to push into the Ferrari next year. This is under the assumption that Mick Schumacher keeps up kind of his performance now.
That makes
If
sense.
he comes out and he becomes, like Mick Schumacher, he could have a shot for the seat next year. This is with me saying I said a few races back that I don't see him replacing Carlos at all next year, yeah. But Carlos has been performing so badly that you have to take that into consideration now.
It's mad, bro. It's sad actually. Like he's gone through a few years of consistent performances, and now it's rough, bro. I hope he comes back next race. Like the next race is only in a week. It's in Monaco. He did well there last year, so I don't know. There's a chance for him to redeem himself. He just needs one good performance could lead you on that train. But we've seen Ricardo has been on like a slump for like what, a year, 2 years. So
2 years.
yeah, it's not like you can't always bounce back. Um, so I guess that's
No,
those
I
are first.
think
We mentioned Lando actually in that conversation. He's in there for underrated drive, I'd say. Turns out he was actually really sick in qualifying and still sick in the
yeah.
race. And he still performed well. Like, I think the quote was something like he was struggling with his vision and something else, but like he was struggling seeing. So, like, a half blind Lando Norris is now still faster than Daniel Ricciardo, which I think is an insane statement to make. But that's that's what's happening right now.
Do you see Daniel retiring at the end of the season?
Oh, nah. Not this season. Surely not.
I think
Surely.
about the end of this season, if it continues like this, I see him probably maybe not retiring, but I think by the end of the season he will honestly sit down and really think about it.
To be fair,
Because
retiring could
the
mean
only
most.
reason I say this, the only reason I say this is he I think if he was considering retiring after how bad last year was, I think it was pushed back purely because next year new regulations, new car, everyone's going to be different, all of that stuff. But he's coming to this year and he's so out of his depth that I was just discussing this with someone who's like, do you think Lando's extracting more out of the car than what is available? Or do you think he's performing to the pace of the car and what's his name? Daniel is just underperforming? Which one do you think is?
Oh, wait, you want me to, bro. That's so. I'd say Lando is performing to the capability of the car as where it should be. Do you know? Because as a driver, you shouldn't just
Yeah,
be performing to the capability of the car. You should be pushing it yourself as well. So, like, if you add on the tax, like the VAT of Lando's ability onto the car performance, that's like a decent baseline level. And then, in theory, with Daniel's ability, he should be performing to the pace of the car plus VAT on top of what Lando's doing. Because, if we go by in theory or whatever, if we ignore last year or whatever it is, he should be faster than what Lando is, or we expected him to be faster than what Lando is. So I've got to say Daniel's just really underperforming. Like I don't think Lando's dragging this car extremely high to like incredible lengths. I do think it's like probably a difficult car or something, but some weekends it works, some weekends it doesn't. But either way, Lando's he's doing a good job and he's showing his talent, but Daniel should be there as well. There's no excuses as to why he shouldn't be on his pace, if not ahead of him. And it's been way too long for him not to be doing that.
do you think it's I think it's close to the end for Daniel. I think next year we'll see quite a few retirements.
Quite a few.
Yeah, mainly as in I see this as the last year for Sebastian.
Oh my, that came out of nowhere.
No,
Okay.
Sebastian Vettel. A lot of people are discussing this being his last year in
Oh yeah,
F1.
but actually, I just come to think of it, like we don't really talk about Vettel that much.
Yeah,
Like,
but
what's
this guy, I think he's gonna retire at the end of this year, and then He's made a lot of money. It's like there's no reason for him to stay in such a bad car, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
There was the
what
hope that with
is.
this season that Aston Martin could be competitive, he could perhaps win, but with how it's going so far, it's just might as well kind of move on and do something else with your life.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, would you not have faith in the project? Because obviously Lawrence Stroll's going to throw money at it, but they are like second to last, so you wouldn't really have faith. Like if they were like, fourth fastest, fifth fastest in the conversation, then you might want to hold it
Yeah,
out
that's
for
a
a
different
couple.
conversation. But now is I think I see this as the end of the road for him. Valtteri, I see him doing a few more years, just to earn a bit more. But other than that, I see him and maybe Daniel bang after the end of the season.
Okay, that's bro, that's throwing me off. Because the thing is, like, I see a lot of Vettel has like a big corner of fans on Twitter, right? The moment anyone says Vettel retirement, they're on your neck. Like instantly, they're like, no, but have you seen him? Like he was actually so fast. And actually, I'm pretty sure I feel like quite a few Vettel fans have forgotten that he was fired by Ferrari. Like he did leave Red Bull by choice. So if you want to reminisce about how good those times were and that he should go back and whatever, cool. But there are people saying like, oh, imagine Vettel goes back to Ferrari and then he'd be winning right now. He should replace Sainz. Vettel should replace Sainz. Bro, he got fired. Like he didn't want to leave. They kicked him out. As harsh as that sounds, and as sad as it is that now they're really fast and he's not with them anymore, he was fired, bro. It wasn't his choice. They tried to make it mutual. He loved them. They didn't love him back. They cut it off. They ended it. And now they're celebrating with their new relationship with Carlos Sainz over here. And no matter how good or bad he is, out of pride, you're not going to go back to Vettel. So you're right. If
I
he's not
think
sticking with
you've
Aston,
been going through some stuff recently, Mohammed. Yeah? You've been going through some stuff recently. We'll talk about this after
Drake,
the
bro.
podcast. Yeah,
It's the Drake. You got me a Drake on repeat. That's how I knew
we're
about
gonna
the
we're gonna
bets.
we're gonna we're gonna talk about this after the podcast. Yeah, you have a lot of stuff to admit to now.
Listen,
Anyways, yeah,
should never be me.
moving
I'm too
on.
light skinned. Get done. It's a lyric. It's a lyric.
What?
I promise you, it's a lyric. I promise you, it's a lyric. I know.
Okay,
I just forgot people listen to this.
moving on, moving on. And just pretend
Okay,
I don't know what
I'm
you're
glad I'm
saying,
not
man.
making TikToks this week. All right, so um, what even is that? I mean, that's about it. Actually, no. Okay, so we've done
Ocon
that.
was surprising today.
Ocon, yes,
Yeah.
he actually. I don't know. It was a quiet race from him, but once again, it's a solid performance. He's outperformed Alonso. Alonso, another one at his home race. It's a good comeback drive, but out in Q1 in front of your home fans. That's
Yeah, the Spanish fans didn't have a good day today.
no, they really didn't. They can't have done. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of them were wearing orange anyway, so like they were probably just supporting Max. They gave
Okay,
up.
they had a
Most.
good day then. They
Bro,
had
they
a
gave
good
up. You know what it
day.
is? They switched the shirts midway through. They were just like, oh no,
Yeah.
what Sainz in the gravel? Alonso out in Q1. Yeah, no, we're wearing orange now. But I mean, Ocon did what I also think, to be fair, Latifi. I'm surprised he didn't bring his name up. He didn't exactly
He
have a big
outperformed
moment.
Alex. Yeah.
Something must have happened to Alex. Like I'm not sure what happened to him, but the red hair thing hasn't worked on him. He finished last. Like, did you see anything? Because obviously recording this so soon,
No,
you have no clue what happened to
no,
him.
no. I think what I heard is they're saying that there are no issues, but it's just Latifi getting like understanding the car a bit more and performing well.
Latifi unlocking his own potential, like the legend that he is. No safety cars, no red flags, pure raw pace, destroying Albon. Love it.
Yeah, you know it's not the truth here. You know he hacked into Alex's car and just ruined the code, so the car is very slow.
That's what he's been
He's
doing.
like,
You
cut the
know?
engine,
He's been slow this
cut
whole
the
time
engine.
because he's been studying engineering on the side so he could ruin his teammate's car. It's
Basically,
fun.
yeah.
Um, I guess, well, that sums up the race, I guess. I mean, there's other stuff outside that we can talk about. If you want to, like, I personally, we forgot to have the rant about the TV direction for Miami. And on topic, they've introduced a new camera. Did you want to mention something about
Oh
the new
no,
shots?
that camera. First of all, like I was sitting there and I saw like memes about it because I forgot to watch qualifying. And then during the race, they just switched to the drone going around. First of all, whoever's flying it doesn't know how to fly it yet. Like some people actually know how to fly it. They're really good at it. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. That's the first thing. Second thing is camera quality is bad, bro. Like as in like it's actually terrible. Like the whole idea is just bad, man. He's just showing the trees, man. Like he's not even showing the racetrack. Honestly, by the end of the race, he's supposed to get getting the cars. Yeah, he's going with I don't remember. I think it's a Red Bull, and then he gets cut off by the trees. And instead of switching before it, with the car to another camera, they just
Yeah.
keep going, and he's blocked by the trees for a few seconds, and they're like, "Oh, damn, we need to switch." Do you just remember?
Oh, bro. Yeah, like
Yeah, I
to be
don't get that.
honest, the drone camera, I don't know, man. Out of safety, I'm assuming they're not allowed to fly it over the track, which is why he took it, like within the confines of the grassy bit or whatever. And then I'd assume out of safety as well. I feel like the only place you'd want to see it is above the crowd just before the podium when they're all on the pit straight, because that would be a nice looking shot. But out of safety, I'm assuming they can't put it there either. So you're left with this awkward side angle watching a bunch of grass and then a car like in the distance,
It's not
2 megameters
even.
away.
It's not
Like,
even just a bunch of grass. You're looking also at like you're watching half watching the race, half watching the marshals just sit there like chilling.
yeah.
Like what the hell, man? Like
I don't know.
I don't
Honestly,
get
to
that.
be fair, I don't know why. Here's the thing. When you watch practice, right? Or testing.
Mm,
Testing's a big one. They love doing this in testing. They'll have Martin Brundle at the side of the track somewhere in his little high-vis jacket because he's wearing like a TV thing or something. He's got his microphone and he's just behind one of the barriers. And they have a static shot of maybe within the barriers or something of the car going past. And every time they say, okay, here comes one of the really fast cars. It's going to be, like, look how fast it's going. And they're always on a cool down lap. So they're going like 4 miles an hour. But they spend half an hour waiting for a car to go past really quickly and it never happens. Why don't they have that camera angle for the race? Like, if imagine you have someone like right behind one of the barriers or something, and then you have them as like a static shot watching the car go. It really shows how fast the cars actually are because they look a lot slower on
mm.
TV than they actually are. But instead, we're getting drone shots. We're getting pit stops with the wheel gun, and then he watches the car come in, then flips it, does the 180. Why? Why that camera flip? I don't know why. There's something about it annoys me. Like whenever there's a pit stop, he just quickly flips the camera around. Like it looks cool for a montage, but on TV, bro, don't do that. Like just leave it out. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
the
Do you want
camera.
to talk about the
Mm.
the piercings as well? Or
Oh,
jewelry and the piercings?
yeah. Is there an update on that? Have they said or does?
No, but like they're basically telling everyone. I will point out something different. So one of the other drivers, I was listening to basically what he was saying is, um, the reason they're asking you to remove the jewelry is, um, I think there was one driver where the fire got so hot that the jewelry essentially it is a conductor of heat. So it could be the case where if it doesn't melt, it's still gonna get hot and essentially it's gonna like like burning your skin.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the reason essentially they want you to remove it. Um, yeah, that's the only thing I really
Yeah.
want to mention
Here's
on
the
that.
mm, my opinion
The
on
way
that.
they're doing it though, it's not good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't think the way they're doing is good.
there's the problem is there's always so many different things about it. Like I don't know. So the rule itself has always existed or whatever. It's existed for a long time, but they're implementing it now to say drivers aren't allowed to wear jewelry. That by itself, fine. If you're saying why are they implementing it now? Why didn't they do it before? Do they only just care about safety now? You know what? I don't care. If the FIA says that it matters now and they want to say, oh, we've been ignoring this rule for the past 50 years, but you know what? We're going to start enforcing it today. Fine, start enforcing it today. That's cool. Like safety matters, whatever. What? Just because that they didn't care about it before, they're just going to stop. They're just never going to care about it. I'd say that's fine. The problem I have is when they start saying, okay, cool, wedding rings, you can keep them on. Like jewelry's jewelry, man. Like if you're telling them to take it off, tell them to take it off. And then the second thing is, if there's more important things to be dealing with, why are you focusing on that? Like I understand if you want to enforce things now because you're catching up on old stuff and you want to bring it up. But if there's bigger issues at hand, don't focus on the small stuff. Telling drivers that they can keep their wedding rings on and then not enforcing telling others that they need to be taking their piercings out and then saying no, we're not going to put barriers at this corner and we're not going to look into this issue. It's just a weird way of doing this. Like I don't know. All of it just gives me
Welcome to Formula
weird
One.
energy. I can't, bro.
Is
It's not
when they say it's a circus, people don't get why they call it that. But the more you kind of get into
bro.
F1, the more you understand why they call it a circus.
It fully is. Like I feel like out of all the major sports, I'm sure like they all have their all little things about them. But F1 seems like the worst organized out of all of them. Like
Yeah,
there's just
but
so
it's the
much
same
stuff.
one you have to fly around the world to watch, like go to races in every single, uh, like in different countries every week and stuff like that. So it is probably one of the harder ones to actually organize. I will say one thing. They are debating about, so Russia isn't coming back this year, and they're not switching it for a different race. Um, what's going to happen from next year is they're thinking of changing the schedule. Um, sorry, I cut out. They're thinking of changing the schedule so they can align races essentially. So they're thinking of having Saudi with Bahrain at the beginning, and then did I cut out again? And then
Black, but the audio's fine.
yeah. So they're thinking of having Saudi and Bahrain at the beginning together, and then the other two Middle East races together at the end, Qatar and Abu Dhabi. And then they're thinking of having like races in kind of Asia closer together, the US and Canada together, stuff like that. So essentially, the reason for this is it makes it obviously a lot easier for teams if you're sending your equipment basically to America and then from America to Canada and then back home to the UK where most of them are based, except Ferrari, is generally a lot easier, especially with kind of rising costs and stuff. There's a big debate about, the rising costs and stuff and implementing the new budget cap and stuff.
And
But yeah,
sustainability.
that's one. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
very sustainable if everything's getting more expensive, and you still expect us to like stick to the same budget if transport and all of that. So I'm not actually. This budget is like less being spent on performance and more being spent on just transporting
It's
everything to races. Yeah,
it's a good
but
it's good finally doing that though, because it did make no sense. Like I'm pretty sure last year, as part of the triple header, it was if I'm remembering this right, it was Mexico, then Brazil, then Qatar as a triple header.
yeah.
Like that's right. If you're trying to be carbon neutral or something or carbon zero in a few years, that can't run. Like you can't keep doing that. There's no way that holds.
It's insane just on the idea of like you're expecting a team to travel to like so many different time zones and to not just get there and like I'm not going there and relaxing. I'm going there, I have to adjust my sleep schedule. I have to get into the mentality to perform at my very best, even the pit crew, the engineers and stuff. It's honestly it's insane. Like if it's within Europe, fair enough. Like it's like a 1 hour time difference. It makes no difference really. But if you're going from like Brazil to Qatar, like what the hell, man? Like what? I'm sure it's like 11 hours ahead. 10, 11 hours ahead.
Brazil would be a few behind, and then three is three. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Like
insane.
how is that even possible? Like, yeah, I don't get that.
I mean, speaking of sustainability, actually, I had this as a talking point just because of the this being the big week with upgrades and stuff. Do you like, I don't know, if we're implementing the budget cap, we're seeing everyone talk about you can't just throw money at the problem anymore. You need to make sure that your upgrades work, you do the research, and then bring in small stuff to make sure that the problem can actually get solved. This obviously goes against what F1 used to be, where I know this kind of ruins the competition, but you have the big teams throwing money at the problem, but they end up with the best solutions and the most innovative solutions. And then you get like, the best solution to the problem. So on the balance of sustainability and innovation, like which side do you lean more towards? Because is it kind of killing innovation, telling them you have to like limit your resources now?
No, I feel like what's gonna happen is I feel there's always gonna be innovation because you've got 10 teams on the grid. They're each gonna decide on a slightly different way of doing it. And you see that with Mercedes, you see that with Red Bull, you see that with Ferrari. They all got slightly different concepts about how the car is working. But they've all actually got, like, Mercedes is getting quicker. And you're seeing it throughout the grid. So I think in that sense, you'll always have innovation and someone who's got it just right. But then what's going to happen is teams are catching up is going to be a lot harder. It's not going to be as quick or as easy as before, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then with the like the CFD, like how much it can actually spend on that, like time wise, and the same with like wind tunnel time, I think that equalizes it a bit. So also like I think Mercedes' stuff where they cut down the side pods really is like what you talk about with like innovation, let's say. Maybe not the best innovation, but we will see how it gets from there.
No side
They have
sources.
solved a big issue with their porpoising is a lot less this week.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm so glad. I can't lie. I've started to hate that word now. So I'm glad that it's not being associated with Mercedes anymore.
oh, one thing we actually forgot to speak about is health. Carlos Sainz came out and said that the porpoising and stuff is an issue that is like a big thing for their health in the future. And obviously in 10 years, if you've been sitting in a car going down the straight, that
Yeah.
obviously has a lot of stuff for like your neck, your back, all of that. So that should be a thing, I think, like something that F1 researches that is actually this method of using this type of kind of downforce. Is it sustainable in the sense that, not in the sense that cars can follow and that, but rather in terms of the porpoising and health of the drivers? Because if it's negatively affecting the drivers, they're not going to want to do it. And I think that's what they're going to start looking at. There's the body that protects Formula One drivers. I forgot the name. They're basically going to start kind of looking into like how what we can do to kind of limit that.
I think it's I think I know who you're on about. The GDPA or something. That's
Yeah,
wrong.
George was the head of last year or something.
Yeah. Um, no, you're right. I didn't think
I
of
think
that yet. You don't want to like see these drivers retire and then in 20 years you have this one generation of drivers of, Norris and Leclerc and all the rest of them or whatever who would have grown up during this generation, all having some, like common injury about them. Because
it's
yeah,
not just that, it could be the case where it actually ends the careers early. You know how with NFL they got like the head hitting and then the brain issues
oh
and that.
yeah,
I don't think it'd be that severe, but it could be like they're all talking about how they're all a lot stiffer, and they need to work on a lot more mobility and stuff after driving the car now. So they are actually seeing issues now because of the porpoising. Even in a Ferrari, I'm not talking about like the Mercedes was the worst, and they were actually dealing the drivers with the worst of it. But in terms of the Ferraris and stuff, they were actually still dealing with lower mobility and stuff, so they had to work on that. So that's one thing that's slightly different with the cars. And we could see the cars or the philosophy of how the car is operating change ever so slightly, kind of as the season progresses and maybe next year as well.
I guess, bro, I don't know what to add to that. I think that rounds out our conversation about the Grand Prix.
You want to look at the predictions?
Yeah, I think there's nowhere else we can really go from that. Yeah, let's do
The
let's do this.
fantasy has not actually updated, so I think we
Oh,
can
that
put in the
fast.
comments what has happened. Yeah, with that fast, that fantasy hasn't caught up to us.
Jeez. Do you know what it is? As we were talking, yeah, I think I've just seen Missed Apex have actually posted their podcast already. So they haven't just filmed it; they
Really?
fully posted it, bro. These guys are insane.
Wow.
Missed Apex are just I don't even know, man. Wait,
Okay.
I'm trying to find it now. Anyway, okay, so it hasn't updated, but you can check. I think you can check how many points you got, right?
Yeah, I know how many points I've got, but I don't know how many points
I can.
everyone else has got.
I'll log in and tell you how many I got, and then we can just compare from there. Yeah, literally
Yeah.
40 minutes ago, which was, bro. Yeah, no, that's I don't even know, man. These guys are different. Anyway, okay, I've logged in. I know how many points. Okay, how many points did you get?
136.
Oh, bro. I got 113.
And this week is horrible as well. Like
And
this
yeah,
week was actually
I had Albon
it's
in my
been bad.
I had Albon team.
I think from what I've seen, I think my lead extended ever so slightly.
Maybe. I mean, I'm
Tiny,
not.
tiny. Because the only difference between me and whoever's in second is I've got Perez and they've got Russell. And I think Perez actually ended up scoring more points than Russell.
Potentially, yeah, that does make
Yeah.
sense.
So
Yeah, we've caught it at the
so
awkward
I'm
time.
still in the lead. I'm still in the lead of
Well,
the
if you want to do
league.
something about that, join the league. I always leave the code in the description of the YouTube and the audio. So have a look, make a team, join in, check out the standings and stuff.
Realize how
If,
Mohammed sucks at this.
listen, I'm
No, we
sure.
haven't covered our actual predictions for like the ones we do on the side.
Yeah,
And we
I'm
need to do the predictions for next week.
going through them now. So
Oh, I thought you
let me get the
forgot.
list. No. I was
I
just
thought
getting
you were going like goodbye. Bro, we're
okay.
not finished.
Qualifying top three. It was Leclerc, Verstappen, Science, which is what
For
you
both of
said.
us.
No, that was the actual result. That's what you said. I went
Yes.
with Verstappen, Pole, and then Charles, and then Perez. So
So you got 0, I got 3.
that is 1 point.
No,
Um,
that's 3 points.
that's not
3.30.
three. Whoa.
That's 3-0.
That's never how
You
you
get
count.
1 point for every correct prediction.
Okay, is that how we've been
That's
counting?
literally how we've done it every single time. Yeah.
Ah,
You're
okay.
just crying, because you're like, I can't recover from this.
I yeah, I don't think it's coming back. The race result, we both said Verstappen would win. You went with um Charles and then Perez. I went with Perez then Charles. So I've
No,
got
thank God. I thought you put Russell in.
no, I've got two. You've got one for that.
So it's 4-2.
Okay, driver of the day. We both said Max, but it was actually Lewis. I saw that on
Was
Twitter
it?
a second ago. Yeah, so Lewis
Okay.
ended up getting it.
So it's 4-2
DNFs.
still.
You went. Oh, so you've won. DNFs. You went with three. I went with two, and there were two. So you've
Yes.
scraped it. You've actually scraped it.
Yes. Yes.
Scraped.
What is it now? 4-2, I think, overall.
Yeah, it's 4-2 overall. It's 4-2.
Yes. Yeah. Predictions for next week, bro. What's the
Okay.
next week? I forgot. Monaco.
Yeah, it's Monaco.
Oh. Oh, they're on a back signs.
Leclerc all the way. Yeah.
No, I'm not putting Leclerc, bro.
Yeah, you are.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. With the way he's been going, I should remove him for next week, bro. The guy's
That's the thing.
cursed, man.
How many people do you think will drop them from their fantasy teams? Surely
Oh,
everyone.
everyone's gonna drop Leclerc from his fantasy. I'll leave signs, but I have to drop Leclerc from the
Yeah.
team, man.
I hope you forget.
Oh, damn. I'm going Max Sainz Perez.
Okay. Yeah. Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. Interesting. This is so hard. Okay. I mean, you've got to say it's a Max poll. Unless you know what? Nah. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Charles Leclerc gets pole.
Yeah, I was actually debating that. He'll hit the wall again. He'll take pole, but then he won't actually win the race.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Charles ahead of Max, and then do I say Sainz or Perez? Sainz, Perez.
No. Charles. Okay, I'm gonna go Charles Max Science. Charles Max Science.
You'll change. Okay, Charles
Yeah,
Leclerc,
yeah.
Max Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz. You know what I want to do?
Hmm.
Lewis Hamilton, third in qualifying. Yeah, screw it, go on. Yeah. No, you know what? I'm backing it. I don't care. I'm doing it.
Sure,
So
sure.
if I get it, that would be
He's
sick.
gonna DNF, bro.
Just, no words. We'll talk about this next week. Race top three. What do you reckon?
Max Sainz Perez, maybe. Or do I back Russell to actually do something? What are you thinking? I'm backing Max to win. I'm not sure about second and third.
The Max win streak has to end eventually, surely.
No, I'm sticking with Max.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Max as well.
Yeah, Max Sainz Russell.
Right, Sainz, Russell. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna say. Oh wait, this is gonna be qualifying, isn't it? Like, this is just qualifying.
No, this is the race,
Yeah, no, but like, yeah, the race is qualifying. Like,
basically.
I'm gonna
The
say.
DNS, bro.
You know what? Lewis is finishing second, bro. I need to end his. The bad luck has to end, surely. I'm gonna go George. Screw it. You
Sure.
know what? Mercedes. Mercedes are gonna get 2-3 next week. Calling it there. Driver of the day. Don't even say. I know you want to say something so bad. Don't. No words from you.
Max Verstappen.
Cool. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say. It's probably gonna be Max, isn't it? It's gonna be Max.
Yeah, just put Lewis, bro. He's his fan, bro. You have to trust in him, man.
DNFs
3.
3. 3. I'm gonna say I want to go higher. Higher. This is a game of higher or lower. More or less
Higher.
than 3 DNFs.
Higher.
Or,
Higher. Higher.
yeah,
Go for 5. I think
you know.
5 is a good
I'm
thing.
going 4. Going 4.
5, bro. Why are you going 4?
Why are you going 3?
Maybe
Why are you going 3, bro? 3.
go
Latifi
with 5,
exists.
bro.
Latifi will take out
Yeah,
4
sure.
cars in turn 1.
You know the funny thing. The funny thing I remember from last week. Maybe I should save this for a relevant thing of. No, I'll say no. Is what's his name when he's racing around Monaco and they're giving him instructions. Um, Nikita Mazepin. He's like, "This
Oh,
is Monaco." Oh, the F1 thing has come out. So officially, I have extended my lead.
oh, the fantasy's just updated now.
Yeah,
I gotta see this.
yeah. So I have actually extended my lead now to 91 points, and
Nah.
you are still in. You're number 6. Bro, you're so bad, man. You're actually so bad at this game.
Wait, how come
Ah,
yours
you
updated?
suck.
Mine hasn't. Bro, I can't even see. Wait, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm sick.
Oh, I'm number 2 in Spain. How the hell am I number 2, bro? How the hell is that possible?
I got 11th, bro. I got 11th. Out of the 13 people in our league, I got the 11th worst points.
That's
What a
sad.
week, man.
Don't cry, bro. Don't cry.
Bro, it's going to be a struggle, to be honest. It's going to be tough.
I
Ah,
think
so bad.
whoever's people are getting closer to you. You might actually drop to 7th soon. Don't cry. Don't cry.
Right, well, before we get tears on the podcast, I'm going to go revise for my end of years, I guess. So more tears due very soon. Thanks for watching or listening or whatever. We will be back next week where I will update everyone on how awful my exams went and how I'll be retaking this year. And Youssef will be a master's in aerospace engineering, a graduate, or a guy throwing the cap and everything.
Yes. Yeah. That's it end of the summer, but yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, leave us a review on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on. Share if you enjoyed, and we'll be back next week. So thanks for listening and goodbye.